I don't know. I'm like inhibited about sex and everything. I don't want to. See?
You don't ever want to?
No. Well, I will, but it just seems like a chore. You know, like something you have to do because you're married.
Oh, what a turnoff that's got to be for your poor aged husband, Alicia. And very dull in your married life, apparently.
No, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it's got to be if you regard making love as a chore.
Well, I try not to regard it that way.
Yeah, but you can't pretend, you know.
I know. Well, I've tried to pretend, and he even knows that I'm pretending,
well,
so that's what...
It's the
what
fact
is a
that
bad
you...
hang-up?
What irritates him is that you start yawning in the middle of it.
No. I have been known to fall asleep, though.
I spent the weekend with my boyfriend.
Are you going to marry him?
Yeah, in November.
November what?
The 20th.
Send me an invitation. I'll announce it on the Feminine Forum.
Okay.
Do you think you'll still be in love with him?
Yeah.
How long you been living? How long have you been going with him?
I've been going with him for 10 months now.
And this is the first weekend that you've spent with him.
Uh-huh.
Is that your boyfriend in the background?
Yeah.
Gee, he sort of has an odd way of speaking, hasn't he?
Uh-huh.
Is he purebred?
Yeah.
Is he housebroken?
Yeah.
Is that all he says, just like that, arf?
No, that's my dog. He thinks he can hypnotize me.
He thinks he can hypnotize you.
Right. He really can't, because I remember everything he does and everything he says, even when he says, "You will not remember what I've said when you wake up."
Why don't you just go along with it sometime?
Right. I just pretend because it's a way for him to express things without thinking that I know.
Oh, that's
beautiful. He doesn't
beautiful.
feel silly.
Hey, what does he say to you when he thinks he has you completely mesmerized?
Well, it's really fun because he tells me things like, you're not married, you're about 18, and you just got home from a date, and you're going to go into your bedroom, and you're going to get undressed, and you're going to get ready for bed. Like this, you know. And he says, and then some guy's going to come in, and you're not, you won't know who he is. And he's going to, come up to you and kiss you, and you're going to be really afraid at first, but then it's going to be fun, And it's really fun. We just have a ball playing, and I just really act the part. I have to be really, really good actress because he, as far as his hypnotizing goes, I'm really supposed to be, 18 and not married and afraid.
Maybe he is pulling one on you. Maybe he knows you're not hypnotized, but he's just playing.
You know what he does?
What's he do?
To make sure I'm hypnotized, he'll stick a pin in me.
What do you have that no other Whittier young matron has?
I have dimples on my rear end.
Let's find out about you and your competitive sisters.
Well, my sister married my husband.
Your sister married your husband?
Right.
Before you did?
No, after. She had been married for 12 years, and I was married for 4.5, and she moved up near where I lived, and she started flirting with my husband, and we broke up. She's 10 years older than he is.
Is she older than you are?
Yes, 10 years older than I am, too.
An older woman took away your man?
Right.
What do you think she has that you don't have?
My husband.
How do you compete with your husband? You compete...
Well, I don't anymore, but I did about 5 years ago, and I got myself in a lot of trouble.
Go ahead. Tell us what happened.
Well, first of all, we have a bar.
Oh.
And we had 2 bars at that time, and we always have a softball league. All the bars in the different areas get together, and they have a tournament. When baseball season came around, everybody was excited, and I says to him, I'm going to enter a team this year. And he says, stop. He says, you don't know anything about it. You'll only get yourself messed up and everything.
Uh-huh.
And I had 1 week to send in a roster of about 15 players. Anyway, I got myself a team. And we beat them for the championship by 1 run. The score was 6-5. People are still talking about
it. That's a deadly thing to do to your husband.
That was terrible.
Instant.
It ended up in a separation.
It's my boyfriend. He really tries to physically impress other people, but it's almost obscene, really.
Well, now, pick gingerly through your thoughts and tell us exactly what he does without knocking me off the air into electronic oblivion, okay?
All right. Well, one thing that kind of embarrasses me is he has about a 32 waist. He has a very nice build, but
30?
he wears about size 30 pants, and they're really tight.
He wears such tight pants he has to carry his wallet in his mouth.
Right. He does.
Okay.
And then another thing is he has some hair on his chest, and so he kind of unbuttons his shirt about down to his navel, so it kind of shows off. And then when we go to the beach, and I'll wear my bikini, and he wears his.
He wears his bikini?
Right, kind of a lycra type bikini.
Oh, yeah.
And after we get out of the water, he always has to do exercises on the beach before he can lay down, and this embarrasses me. I'm proud of him, too, but I don't like him to show everybody.
Well, now, is he the sort of a guy who whips out a Frisbee and hurls that around so he can, show his massive thighs?
Right.
As he runs along the beach?
Uh-huh.
Holding his stomach in? Why don't you upstage him a little at the beach sometime by accidentally losing the top of your bikini? Did I just hear you gasp?
Yes.
Well, if he's going to keep on this attention-getting caper, why, you better do something to equal him, don't you?
Yeah. Do you think that'd give him the hint?
I think that might reach him somehow. Do you have a pretty nifty figure?
Oh, it's pretty good.
It'd be embarrassing if you did that and nobody noticed, wouldn't it?
It's pretty good. I think I could get away with doing that at the beach.
All right. Now let me know what beach you're going to try it out at, and I'll do a special broadcast from there.
Okay, probably Santa Monica.
Now, how does your husband show off, Mary?
Well, the other night we went skinny dipping for the first time.
I
was really surprised that he got out of the pool and was dancing around and jumping off the diving board and everything.
Well, was this in front of strangers or just you?
Well, it was a lot of our friends.
A lot of your friends?
But it was dark.
And you didn't have any clothes on either.
Well, I thought I better take them off before everybody else took them off.
Oh, before everybody took off?
He was threatening to take them off if I didn't.
I didn't know people skinny dipped in Burbank.
Well, they do.
And to your amazement, your husband went capering out on the diving board and was flaunting his entire body to the entire world there.
Yes, he was.
Unabashed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is...
He was really digging it.
He was what?
Digging it.
He was. Maybe he's
I didn't dig it.
you objected to his...
I didn't like that at all.
Displaying his manly physique out there. Why would you object to that, Mary?
Because he was the best one there.
Hello, Bill. This is Ruby.
Ruby, where have you been? Everywhere I go here in Southern California, people say, how come Ruby never calls anymore? It's been about 3 months, Ruby. Where have you been?
We're back in Baldwin Hills now. We've been on a vacation. We went back to New York City, and we went back to Washington, D.C. We saw the Lincoln Monumental. We went to New York and saw the Statue of Liberation. I went up there, and I got sick when we went up in that Liberation statue up there. Well, I got kind of sick of him, to be honest with you. I wish I could get myself liberated from this here slave driver. He's always coming home. He got himself a job,
Oh, before you tell me about that, is he home now? Remember last time he got on the extension?
Wandering around here somewhere. I hope he don't come in. See, I'm in the bedroom. I have to call from the bedroom, see?
Yeah.
But most of the time when he home, he drive a truck at night. And most of the time when I call, I sneak into the bedroom, see, and calls from the bedroom.
Well, last time he got on the extension and kind of gave us a...
I know that, but we don't have no more extensions, see, and he had them taken out, see.
Okay, go ahead now. Tell me your adventures.
Just again, Bill. Hold on. Yeah, I'm on the phone again.
Hey, woman, I told you time and time again.
Now,
Call that fella at that radio station.
what? Told you?
I thought you talking to him one more time.
Bill, I think...
That I was going to take
Now,
care
come on
of
now.
them both.
Don't embarrass me,
You
don't you?
hang up that phone right away. I'm going down to that
Bill?
radio station.
Well,
Bill,
yes, Ruby.
I'm going to have to hang up.
You better hang up.
Okay, goodbye. What sort of an animal does your super stud remind you of?
He reminds me of a little puppy dog.
Oh, in what respect? He's not housebroken?
Oh, yeah, he's housebroken, all right.
You have to curb him?
Yeah.
In what respect does he remind you of a puppy dog?
Well, because I think all men remind you of that in one respect, because when you give them things and they do tricks for you. I'm married to a bear.
A bear?
Mm-hmm.
Grizzly?
No, he's always been called a bear. They call him El Oso.
from the time he was a little boy. And
What do they call him? What's that nickname?
El Oso,
El Oso? Does that mean bear?
in Spanish.
Is it cinnamon bear, brown bear? What kind of bear is it?
A brown bear.
A brown bear. Why? What characteristics of a brown bear does he have?
He's dark. He's Mexican.
Very dark.
And he has very hairy legs, and he's bow-legged.
He's bow-legged. He can stand in front of the TV set and tune it in without even blocking the view.
A bull.
A bull?
Yeah.
For the obvious reasons or more subtle reasons?
All subtle reasons. He's very, he's sort of a steadfast type person. He just sort of,
Steadfast or studfast?
well, pretty good on both accounts.
He reminds me of a walrus.
In what respects?
Well, he's got a big, bushy mustache.
And tusks to match?
No, but just that when he gets in the water, like in a pool or something, he makes a sound. Sounds just like a walrus.
Can you duplicate the sound?
Oh.
Come on, try it. Come on, try it just a little, Betty.
Oh, he goes, boo!
Hey, do that again. That kind of turns on my ignition. Almost puts me in gear. Try it. Do it again, dear.
An ostrich.
Ostrich?
Yes.
Why?
Because when he senses danger, he sticks his head in the sand.
He sticks his head in the sand any
right.
time there's approaching danger. Now,
Yeah.
what sort of danger? Psychological danger?
Psychological.
Do you have an example you can reveal to the world, Teddy?
Oh, sure. Like if I have something on my mind about that concerns us, our relationship, and I bring it up, he just shines me on.
A koala bear.
Koala bear?
Yes, a koala bear.
Oh, that's interesting. Apparently he's very cute and cuddly, is that right?
Yes, he is. But like koala bears are small, but they're very strong. And they're very quiet little type of people. And they have very sweet little innocent eyes. And he holds his hands like koala bears when he's upset.
He holds his hands like a koala bear, sort of across his chest, right?
Oh, no, they're just kind of there. I can't explain it. They're just up and bent. It's really weird. He looks just like a koala bear.
And I can tell from your voice that he makes you melt. Is he married?
Yes, he is.
Uh-oh. I wonder what sort of a bear his wife thinks he is.
I think she thinks he's a worm.
He's a pussycat with tiger tendencies.
That's great.
Isn't it? I love him. He's so cute.
Well, a very handsome monkey. He has this chinning bar,
He has a chinning bar, yeah.
between the doorway,
Yeah.
and he does practice on it, but when he's clowning around, he'll hang on it with one hand, and then he'll scratch his side with the other one and make a funny face because he has a beard and a mustache. And he's got fairly long hair. He's a hairstylist, and he's slightly dark. And so he just reminds me of a monkey.
Does he make monkey sounds?
Yeah, he does the whole thing.
Can you make a sound like he does as a monkey?
So...
Come on, just try it. Oh, once more. That was terrific. Again.
No.
And how do you tell your man that he's somewhat inept?
Well, it really didn't happen to me, but
Uh-oh.
it happened to my daughter, and I sort of helped her out. She was married about a year, and I knew she was unhappy.
How did you know?
She told me. So I sort of got to know her husband a little bit.
Uh-oh. You mean you made love to him?
Yes, I did.
You made love to your son-in-law in order to find out his flaws.
Right.
Theoretically. But actually, you were getting quite a secret charge out of it, right, kid?
Well, I kind of enjoyed it.
Uh-huh. Well, what was his big failing that you corrected hastily?
Well, he really, he was just too much of a hurry, and this was the whole thing. And I just more or less,
Would you go back to him once in a while, give him a refresher course?
No, I don't. It just took once.
Just one visit.
Right. And I sort of told him
what he was doing wrong, in a way that I don't think he would have accepted from my daughter.
That's true from an adult woman. Yes, that's right. But, what an interesting mother-in-law relationship he must have.
Well, she didn't know this happened, but I didn't mean anything by it, But since then, it's been beautiful.
Has she actually said, Mom, you never guess what happened. My husband is so much better now.
She told me. She said, I don't know what happened.
And I can see that secret smile playing across your twisted...
Well, I sort of turned the other way then and, talk about something else.
That's a melter, Vicky. I think that's neat.
Well, I'm sure glad I just have one daughter.
You wouldn't want to have to teach more than one young husband.
Absolutely not. My husband, of course, didn't know about this.
Until today, when he was listening to the feminine...
I hope he's not.
Yeah.
Well, my mother, I believe, called in yesterday. She doesn't admit it, but my father,
Did your dad hear her?
he certainly did, in the whole construction crew.
Oh, wow.
And he called me. So my father called me, and the only thing, he told me that he heard the show. And he said that I should take care of it on my end, and he'd take care of it on his, and that I was grown up enough to work out my own problems, if that's what I had.
You didn't know about your husband and your mother.
No, I didn't. My father didn't either.
He didn't?
No. But he does know.
How have you told your man that he's, a sort of a cipher in the sack?
He's kind of fumbly.
Fumbly, Why don't you give him a few lessons?
I bought him a book called The Sensuous Man. I've been making him read that.
Uh-huh.
He's getting better anyway. Slowly. He's on chapter 10 now.
Well, what I did was I got a couple of books on love making, the art of love, things like that. And I went through and read them, and I took all the bad parts, that the book says, don't do this, and I underlined them. And I did it to 2 books, and one day I put them on his bed and let him go in there, and when he noticed it was underlined, he started flipping through the pages to see what it was.
You're about as subtle as a mashed foot.
He was really nothing to complain about. He was a great lover.
Mm-hmm.
So great that I really thought I couldn't keep up with him when we got married.
Mm.
But then when we got married, things sort of just reversed, and he started lacking a little bit. I told him that every time we get in bed, it's a challenge, and this is what he lost when we got married.
Your new lover, does he know he's been picked out?
No, not yet.
You mean you're still auditioning him?
Yeah.
Well, when will you make the key decision?
Well, I don't know. I'm scared of it.
Oh, come on now, Marilyn.
But, well, anyway.
It'll be interesting when you inform him. You say, I, Marilyn, recently starred on the Feminine Forum, hereby dub you my new lover.
Well, I've tried I've taken every book, I keep buying books on how to improve your marital sex and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I will open up the book and I'll fall asleep and I'll leave it on his pillow open to what I want him to read. And he'll put it down and he'll just read his Sports Illustrated. And I bought him The Sensuous Man, and he bought me The Sensuous Woman. But it's good for like 3 days and then he forgets all about him.
Were you lovers before you married him?
Yes, we were.
How was he then?
He was great. He was twice a night.
Wow, and now twice a month.
And yeah.
How did your man fail to keep a certain promise to you?
He promised that he would move in with me, and I think he's chickening out.
Well, why do you think he's not moving in? Maybe he's committed to some other chick in the Anaheim area.
Well, he has been going with 3 girlfriends.
Of yours?
No, of his.
He promised that he would never make love to me. But now we have a little baby, and we're staying together, and we're not married.
I made him promise me because I left him once, and in order to go back, you promised me that we'll make love more often, and I'll come back. So he promised. One night, he was getting very, chummy with me and everything, and I went upstairs and I took off everything. I figured, well, maybe this will shock him a little bit. So I came downstairs, and he says to me, well, when are you going to go sew the cuffs on my pants?
before a guy should marry her, she should have a good, serviceable pair of shoes. She should have a neat, nifty, well-paying, remunerative job.
Why?
She should have most of her teeth filled.
She's not so supposed to support the guy.
And a nice warm coat that's paid for. What's your fiance's first name?
Neffy?
Messy?
Yeah.
Messy? What a terrible name. Why don't you just call him Mess for short? Now tell me about what you will forgive but will never forget.
Oh, I'll forgive, but I will never forget it. And this just happened last Monday.
Uh-oh.
I was living with my ex, and he took every bit of my furniture. It was all done out of spite. He took my toothbrush and toothpaste, and he has dentures. So that's what I won't forgive. He can have all the furniture. I want my toothbrush back. Oh, Bill, it's awful.
Tell me.
He drinks.
How old is he?
25, and he's not a day over 16.
What drives him to drink?
Me, probably.
What do you do to him that bugs him beyond repair?
I'm a nut.
What's the nuttiest thing you've done recently?
I put my cats in the refrigerator when they're hot.
Wait a minute. I'd have sworn you said you put your cats in the refrigerator. Have you ever thought of climbing in with them?
Yes, but I don't like onions, and it smells like onions in there.
Let's hear.
An old girlfriend of my husband called about 2 weeks ago.
So she calls in, "Hi, I'm in town."
Yeah, well, she called and, that she wanted us to all come up and see her. She lives in Oxnard now. She left her phone number, and I told him about it, and he could have called her if he wanted and gone and see her, but I figured we should all go, not just him. Saturday morning, he comes home at 6 o'clock in the morning, and right now he's going to school in San Francisco.
Oh.
And by the time if he leaves there kind of late, it takes about that much time to get here, so I didn't think too much of it. In fact, I didn't really expect him home. Well, come to find out, this girl had called him this past week up there.
Yeah?
Begged him to come and see her. She wanted to go to a motel. So the fool went to the motel with her. So to top it off, I got a phone call yesterday, and from the motel. This girl had thrown an ashtray through the window, and it's going to cost $25.
How have you shocked the man in your life?
Somehow I ended up with a very contagious case of mononucleosis. I was told that I couldn't even kiss my husband, much less sleep with him or anything else. So what had been kind of a nifty, active sex life was brought to kind of a halt. And this went on for about 2 months.
Wow.
And I was climbing the walls right alongside of him. So I explained the problem to the doctor. So he said, well, come on in and we'll see if maybe it's controlled enough so that you can live the way you want to live again. So I went in and he took the blood test and he said, go home and tell your husband that everything's A-okay, but take it easy. So I thought about it all day and I thought, gee, it's been such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It should be something special.
Good girl.
And we'd been playing a lot of cards since I'd gotten sick because there wasn't much else we could do. So after dinner, I put our little girl to bed, and I said, hey, honey, let's play cards again. And he said, okay, I'll get them. I had already, during the day, hidden the cards. And I said, go on in and sit down in the living room, and I'll see if I can help you find them.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into the bathroom, and I'd already, out of this deck of cards, made this little outfit, this little three-piece thing, these little fans on the top, and this little sort of, draped thing on the bottom.
Yeah.
And as I went into the bathroom, I'd flip the hall light off.
Yeah.
And so I hollered out, honey, have you found them yet? And he said, no. And I said, well, go ahead and sit down, and I'll see what I can do. As I walked out, both the hall and the dining room were pitch dark, and I walked into the light of the living room, and his eyes just about bulged. And I just looked at him, and I just asked him, I said, honey, would you like to shuffle?
My husband's people are Arabs, and they are from the old country, so when we got married, we had an open house, and being crazy, I wanted to give him a gift that nobody else could give him.
Should have had an open tent.
Well, I went up to this dime store, and I was trying to find the bottom of a woman's torso, you know, the kind that they put, like, underwear on.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to get a G-string and put it on, you know, and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, the man wouldn't show it to me. He thought I was perverted or something.
Oh, wow.
So instead, I got him to sell me a pair of, you know, the bust one that they put the brassieres on.
Oh, yeah, in different store windows.
Right. So I got this torso thing, so I went to the fabric store, and I got some of these sequins, and I put just big red sequins right at the very tip and little gold tassels. So I wrapped it all up in this really wild box, and at the open house, I said, you know, gee, everybody, I've got this great gift for my husband because he's been so good for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he opens up this gift, and I thought he was going to die. He turned so red. So many people were falling apart. And I thought his mother was going to kill me because coming from the old country, she wasn't ready for something like this. I've been a sort of amateur dancer for several years, and I decided I wanted to take a different type of dancing.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to take jazz dancing, but something different, so I took jazz striptease.
Jazz striptease.
Uh-huh, and I took it from a private party.
A man or a woman?
It was a man, and that's really what shocked my husband.
What are you wearing now?
Nothing.
Well, he was a magnificently built man, very beautiful, and I had admired him for quite a while. He had to take his wife to the airport to go see her mother that was very ill,
Yeah.
and we had talked about it previously. So I was going to surprise him when he come back from the airport and be in his home. And I bought a bottle of champagne and come in through the darkness through the sliding glass doors.
Uh-huh.
I waited, and pretty soon the front door opened, and he came in. It was very dark inside. And I said, "Good evening." And he fainted.
He fainted?
He fainted.
The poor
and he
devil.
had another woman with him. So evidently he thought that his wife had backtracked and come home.
Which wedding night was the best?
Las Vegas. He fell asleep on our second one.
He fell asleep during your second wedding night?
Well, he was so tired, and he has school. He's a student, and he had to go to school the next day and everything. So, and we just stayed one night up in Malibu. And so here I came out in this real sexy see-through thing, and there
A
he
baby
was.
doll outfit?
Uh-huh.
You came out, you emerged from the bathroom, all ready for your wedding night,
Yeah.
and you were wearing a baby doll see-through?
Yeah.
And he was lying there snoring.
With cutouts on it, too.
With cutouts?
It was a joke that my girlfriend gave me.
Yeah.
I wore it anyway.
And so you came undulating, jouncing voluptuously and gyrating and pirouetting into the room, and there he was, sound asleep.
Yeah.
Wow.
I woke him up, though.
Uh-oh.
It wasn't a complete loss.
A student-teacher relationship. Was the teacher your husband?
Yes.
Okay, give me the word, Jackie.
Well, I was in his class about 3 or 4 years ago.
What was he teaching?
Biology.
All right.
And biologists are a breed unto themselves.
Oh, according to Gregor Mendel, they certainly are.
And I liked him and respected him very much, and I guess subconsciously there was something more. He suggested a field trip, and I jumped at the chance.
How do you spell field?
Well, it was both ways, I guess.
All right.
So 3 students went along, and I ended up in the front seat with him. And we were gone for the weekend camping and fielding around, and...
The entire weekend?
Yeah, it was a field trip to collect specimens.
Yeah, well, we went on field trips back in Illinois. We only went for an afternoon. I guess we didn't know any better.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So it became quite clear to both of us that we liked each other, and we had to be discreet because it's not particularly condoned, and I was still in his class.
Mm-hmm.
But he was reticent to make any moves because I was a student, and I wasn't that reticent, so I made the first move, and it became quite clear that we wanted each other. But it was nothing too blatant, but it was enough to show that I was interested.
You did something beside bat your owning like lashes, huh? Okay. Was it still in the car?
Well, we had been camping and hiking and walking together, so...
You carried his pack, and it was little things like that that made him know.
He had to help me up cliffs and things like that. He proposed 2 days later. I was shocked that he asked me so quickly, and I said yes. After a few moments, I went home, got my pills, and came back and moved in.
You mean your birth control pills?
Yes.
Which you carry in a shoulder holster?
Right.
And you moved in, and you've been happy ever since?
We got married about a month after that, and I think his parents were a little surprised about the whole thing, too.
Are you still happy with him?
Very much.
You chaperone him on his present biology field trips?
I've gone on most of them, yes.
How do you make your man jealous?
I've only done it one time, and I wasn't even consciously aware that I was doing it at first. But he's a very handsome man, I think, to me, but he's very attractive to other women.
Uh-huh.
And he has a way of making each woman feel that she is very special, whether she's a mud turtle or looks like Sophia Loren.
Mm-hmm.
But we were in Las Vegas on Mother's Day, and I became very interested in the bass player in the band at the Golden Nugget. And I wasn't overly obvious about it, but...
How did you show your interest to the bass player? Did you look love into his eyes?
I guess you'd call it that. He was to my left, and my husband was to my right. And every time my husband wanted to say something to me, he had to try to get my attention, and I was very much enamored with the bass player.
You liked the way he was wailing away at that bass, huh?
Oh, yes.
You had fantasies of being plucked to death, huh?
Well, I don't know about that, but he was very good. He could play it one-handed, so at least he'd have one free.
To play the piano.
Right. Anyway, just kept looking at the bass player, and the bass player finally started looking back. That was what got to my husband the most, I guess. And he says, let's go back to our rooms. He says, we're not coming here anymore. But he's been a little more attentive to me since then, and he seems to watch how he lays it on with the other girls.
Well, just remember the old saying that, they may be getting some sparks, but you've got the bonfire.
Okay, I'll try to keep the home fires burning.
Yeah.
The first year that we were married, we really had a rough time adjusting. And he thought that, like all American men, he was an only child. And his mother weighed on him hand and foot.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought that everybody was going to do what he wanted to do. And if he wanted to run out with the boys, that was fine. And I was supposed to sit at home and say, okay, So I thought, well, this is not going to work because I come from a French family. So I called my grandmother and I said, look here, I'm having a terrible problem. And she says, I can tell you what it is. And I said, what? She says, you're treating him like an American wife. And so she said, from now on, it's not just a man's thing to say, hey, I want you tonight, or let's do this tonight or something. She says, once in a while when you're sitting there, or if you're too shy, just wait till after you go to bed, you make advances. And I did, and the next thing I knew, it was getting less and less he wanted to go out. Now he don't go out at all, and the other night he told me, he says, I wouldn't go out on you, but I've got my doubts about you. And so, inadvertently, I made him jealous without really wanting to do that. I just wanted him to stay at home more. Now I've got him at home, and I wish I could get rid of him once in a while.
My husband is a very highly educated and intelligent physician, and he is constantly surrounded by many, many nurses. I am not one, and I have to be on my toes.
Oh, yeah.
So anytime he comes home, I am a different person.
Ever try to listen in on his stethoscope?
Oh, that's fun. No, I have several different hair pieces, and I am able to change my personality with hair pieces.
Oh, yeah.
Different people.
How many hair pieces do you have?
About 8.
8 of them?
Mm-hmm.
So you surprise your physician husband when he comes. Does he ever mistake you for another woman?
No. And he is very turned on by a sexy, sensual, call girl type of woman. And I'm not this way at all. I'm very sporty and outdoorsy. So whenever we go to parties, I become the person he wants.
He'd rather, watch a football game or a baseball game than fool around with me. I mean, he says, well, wait until the football game's over, dear.
Have you
Really?
Have you thought about getting a uniform?
Yeah.
Maybe a Dodger uniform?
Yeah, he'd probably tackle me or hit me with a baseball bat.
No, I think probably you'd get thrown out at home.